when it comes to your own progress, results, and happiness in this whole realm of emotional healing work, whatever your practice might be, meditation, visualization, I think one of the most important questions and things to examine is something that rarely gets asked, and when it does, people often cannot really answer. That question is some version of, so, how do you think this whole process works? What is the end game, and how do you get there? What are your beliefs about it? What's your understanding of the process? And you might say, well, what do you mean, Evan? Well, let's do a little experiment here with the train of thought. Let's assume you're doing whatever, meditation, visualization, because you want to have a certain experience in your life. Whether that's you want to attract a partner, or more intensely, perhaps you're going through a health challenge and you've learned that this can be good for healing your body. Okay, well, what's your current understanding of how you actually get there? That might break down like this. Well, I think that if I can hold an image in my mind long enough, then something is supposed to happen. That might be one way you've learned. Or it might be, well, it's not just visualizing, or it's not visualizing, but if I can hold and sustain a positive emotion for long enough, then my body is supposed to heal. Okay, well, how do you do that? Is it just a matter of willing it? Is it practicing a certain technique? And in order to do that, what has to happen? Now you might find another layer of, well, okay, well, I'm pretty sure you have to heal all your trauma. And then, well, what does that look like? How do you heal your trauma? Well, I think you're supposed to feel it all. Right? When you start breaking down what your current belief system, your thought system is, you might find that A, you might not even know what it is. B, there might be a bunch of things that actually sort of conflict with other things, or they don't really paint a complete picture for you, and you actually really believe one thing, but another thing that you actually do believe or think you believe kind of doesn't really gel with it. The reason this is so important is you all, every single one of us, has a belief system and a thought system around this. And everything you see and everything you do is being colored by what you assume or what you believe, or even have had some past experience of how something works. But that framework that you're holding is going to affect everything. So let's say, for example, you believe, well, I have to first heal all of my past wounds. Now, you have to dig into that a little more. Okay, you have to go back. What does that mean? Do you have to go and remember every single one of them? Do you have to go back and feel into each one and then resolve that in some kind of order? If you do believe that, that's a lot of work, and there's a lot of things to do in there that may or may not actually be true, may not actually be necessary for what your end result is. But if you have in the background of your mind, well, that's true, now you're going to be looking at everything that way. And you're going to be asking questions like, okay, how do I go back and remember all of my trauma? Or what happens if I can't remember a trauma? And that's because you assume you have to remember it in order to heal it. Now, I'm not saying explicitly anything being right or wrong. We're kind of exploring this in different ways so you can become a little more aware of, wow, I have a lot of beliefs, a lot of things, or a lot of blind spots about this for myself. And yes, later I will say what I've found useful for me and where I'm coming at this from for now and how it's evolved. But another one is spiritual beliefs and ideas, which can almost override or conflict with all of your other beliefs or ideas about, your personal development work. So I have seen it more than once where someone is sort of practicing meditation, visualization, they're trying to create a result in their life, and at the same time, they are listening to or even espousing certain non-dual or other spiritual ideas of like, well, there's no one here, there's no doer, everything is just happening. Okay, now if you've actually had some kind of full-blown awakening experience where you no longer experience yourself as a separate subject-object relationship with the world, that's one thing. You might be that. If so, you're probably not even listening to this. But if you have not experienced that, which is almost everyone I've ever talked to, except a few, and it's a thought or belief system, now you're going to run into problems, because that's when you start asking endless questions and being on forums all day saying like, well, if there's no doer, then who is the one that does the releasing process? And how do we visualize if there is no self? Now you're in a mind game that goes nowhere, because you're holding these different ideas at the same time and not taking the time or curiosity to say, wait, what do I actually believe about all this, and how do I believe it all works? Especially with the internet now, you're getting hodgepodge pieces of information, and your own biases, for example, are taking in little pieces of data, right? So I believe I have to meditate and visualize the things I want. And I've heard things like, well, you have to visualize what you want, or you can't experience something. You can't create something unless you can see the clear image in my mind. But I have friends who are blind who can prove otherwise because they don't know what anything looks like, right? So there's often something that can kind of dismantle or challenge your belief system when you are willing to take a look at it. So let's, opening this can of worms, I'm encouraging you, you could even put it in the comments, to try to answer that question. If I were to say, what are you trying to accomplish, and how do you believe this whole process of whatever that is, visualization or emotional healing, works? And you might find that as you start typing it down, you're like, whoa, okay, wait a minute. And then you can always go into, well, do I live from that? Because you'll get answers like, well, I believe that, I am the complete creator of my own reality. And then you can start kind of asking some questions. Okay, what does that mean? Does that mean every single thing that happens to your body, you've created it? Is it conscious? Is it unconscious? If so, how do you heal that conscious, unconscious mind? What is the process? You have an entire structure there that is not supporting you, supporting you, supporting you in some ways, creating conflicts in other ways. Right? So it's very, very powerful. And yes, it takes some work. It can be a little confronting, but what is my thought system? What is my belief system? What is life all about? Why am I doing this work? And how does this work function? What are the mechanisms, right? I hope this, opens a good conversation, opens your mind a little bit. Like I said, feel free to put in the comments what your answers are to this question or what this brings up for you. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks.